scrum has moved on between the two of those. I don't know who just walked in the spin room, but someone big obviously did. Looking forward to this next conversation. This man is beyond a never-Trumper. He is among the best-known Michiganders alive today. He's with us from Traverse City, Michigan, the documentary filmmaker Michael Moore. Michael, knowing you were coming on tonight, I have been so curious as to what you made of these last two nights. I don't know if you heard at the top of the broadcast, I said, a national Democrat said to me tonight, having watched this attack on the front runner, I hope they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I've watched and I've listened and I've listened to all the punditry over the last 24 hours. Let me say, as someone here who's sitting in the Midwest, and I don't think people understand. I think a lot of Democrats don't understand. A lot of people who are in the leadership don't understand. This isn't 1980. This discussion of Reagan Democrats, of this sort of the working class. You talk about the working class like it's Lunch Bucket Joe. The working class, the majority of the working class in this country are women. When you say working class, you're talking about young people, 18 to 35. They make the least amount of money. When you're talking about working class, you're talking about people of color. They make the least amount of money. That's who the working class is. But somehow when we have these discussions on these shows, we talk about, well, you know, we got to not get too far to the left here or be too progressive because we'll lose that white working class vote. Well, I don't know, maybe that was true 30 or 40 years ago. It's not true now. It's not the America we live in. Nearly 70% of the electorate next year, eligible voters, next year in this country, 70% are either going to be women, people of color, or young people between the ages of 18 and 35, or a combination of the three. That is America in 2019, 2020. Not this kind of conversation we're having about how we better stay moderate here because we don't want to lose who? Who don't you want to lose? 2/3 of the white men who voted for Trump? News alert, they're not coming. Some of them will come. Trump got 8 million people who voted for Barack Obama, either once or twice, voted for Trump. So there's a chance maybe 1 million of them might come back. But guess what? Trump only won by 77,000 votes, combined votes between Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So we don't need 1 million, folks. We just need 77,000. I think we can find them with that 70% majority. And by the way, all the public opinion polls show, and I watched Steve Kornacki. I study Steve Kornacki, and
he's smiling.
The proof is there that the majority of Americans support a raise in the minimum wage. The majority of Americans believe in the Equal Rights Amendment for women. The majority of Americans are against mass incarceration. The majority do not want to put people in prison for marijuana. Go down the whole list of issues. The majority of Americans take the liberal, progressive position. And they will come out, if they're inspired, to vote for the candidate that's going to side with them. And this discussion that we're having seems to be less about that and more about this mythical voter that we don't want to lose in the Democratic Party. They've been lost. Yes, we can get some of them back, but we don't really need them. And Ann Richard, I got to meet her before she passed away, the former governor of Texas. And she said to me, a fact that is rarely repeated is that no Democrat, other than twice since World War II, since Harry Truman, only twice has the Democrat who ran for president and won got the white male vote. Twice. Once with Lyndon Johnson in the landslide of '64, a year after Kennedy was killed. And the second time was Clinton's second election. So that means John F. Kennedy lost the white male vote, Jimmy Carter lost the white male vote, Clinton lost the white male vote in the first election. Of course, Barack lost it both times. So let's stop talking about how we can get this middle class, this Midwestern, middle America, quit talking about it like it's like this. We got to get those middle Americans out there in the field of dreams, out in the cornfield. It's not that anymore. The working class is women. The working class are people of color. The working class are young people. And this whole discussion about it, they're not attacking Barack Obama. I think Lawrence said it, that the good thing about liberals and Democrats is this sort of self-analysis and willing to be critical of each other to improve ourselves. But if you're going back even to Barack Obama in 2008, since 2008, that's now 10, almost 11 years ago, when he won, since that moment, nearly 40 million people went from being 17 years old to 18 years old. 4 million every year become adults, become voters. You've got 40 million people in this 10 to 11 year period who weren't voters at that time, but became voters during those years from then until now. They don't know what you're talking about when you talk about this Michigan, Macomb County, Reagan Democrat, all this stuff. I remember my parents' friends talking about waxing poetic about Calvin Coolidge. We were like, what? You know, it's, be quiet, the Beatles are on Ed Sullivan. We don't want to, let's get out the Democratic base of young people, women, and people of color. And for the 1/3 of the white guys who voted for Hillary last time, good on you. Come on back and bring a couple of your buddies who mistakenly voted for Trump. But that's all we've got to do, folks. The worst thing to do is to moderate, to go to the center, and to think that's how we're going to win. This is how we're going to lose. If we don't run a street fighter, if we don't run somebody who's going to inspire people to come out and vote, we're going to lose again. And I think nobody listened to me last time when I said this, that Trump was going to win. He was going to win Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want it to happen. But I think a lot of people watching this right now know it already did happen once, so you know it can happen again. And it will happen again if we don't run the right candidate, a beloved American who's not an inside the beltway politician type person, but somebody who's going to be a street fighter and fight for that 70% majority that's going to take us back into the White House.
Okay, and that's where we have you, because to our audience, Michael Moore is going to stay with us. And yes, I'm thinking what you're thinking. Do you have a name for us? Don't say it now, but I'm coming back at you in Traverse City right after this. Julian Castro. Back out to Traverse City, Michigan we go. Michael Moore has been patiently waiting for us to return to him. Michael, you have two tasks in this next answer. Comment on the Tom Friedman theory to Democrats. You say you want a revolution? That's great. If you want to win this presidential election, that's something entirely. Second question to you is, you owe us a name, a nominee, a winning person who you promised.
All right, talking about Tom Friedman's a waste of time, so I'll move on to the second part.
All righty then.
With all due respect, of course. Because actually only a revolution at this point is going to defeat Donald J. Trump.
It's not true.
Only people rising up and doing the work that needs to be done is going to remove him from office. Our side needs to treat Trump seriously. He's not a joke anymore. He's the real deal. And he humiliated all of us by losing the election and then being given the keys to the Oval Office. I don't know how to do that. If I wanted to do that right now, I wouldn't know how to. How would I go about losing and then having the White House? To answer the second part of your question, the Democrats, to win, I mean, I have my three-point plan if you want to hear it. The DNC won't listen to it, but maybe you will, Brian.
I know it involves ballot initiatives in all the states.
It does. It does. And I so appreciate you having me on, even though you mentioned you have the two Harvard people there with Joy and Lawrence. MSNBC, the whole night is all Ivy League or well, you've got
I'm University of
Chris
Missouri.
from
I'm a
Brown.
non-college white.
University of Missouri.
And
Go
well, no, that's what I was going to say.
University
You
of
got
Michigan,
Rachel.
Michael.
You got yes, I know all. Yes, but only Brian and I are the ones with a high school education, because
Yep,
Brian
thank you
doesn't
for
have a degree,
pointing that out.
and neither do I. Yes, but look, you are good company. You're with me. All right, so
Just a couple of older
it's not-
non-college whites.
That yes,
As our
you went to-
demographer
you did go
friends
to
refer
community
to us.
college, Brookdale Community College. You
Well,
did go there.
bless you for that, yes, and for everyone who ever tried to attend
but
Brookdale
I
Community
am-
College. Thank you.
Yes, I am the Trump demographic. I'm an angry white guy over the age of 50 with a high school education. So here's how to defeat Trump. Number one, people turned out in record numbers last November to put the Democrats back in the House. If they don't do anything, if they don't make it worth all the while of all those people who had sat it out in 16 but came in 18 to vote, they may not show up next year. So the Democrats have to do something. What they have to do is they have to impeach this president. They can't sit around and say, oh, yeah, but why should we do that? The Senate isn't going to have a trial. Well, as I said on Seth Meyers last week, the Detroit Tigers don't get to say, we don't want to go to New York and play the Yankees. We're just going to lose. No, you got to go to New York and play the Yankees. And the House has to do its job so that there's a historical record. That's number one. Number two, ballot initiatives, as you said, this is how we did it in Michigan in November. We got a ballot proposal passed to legalize marijuana. That doubled the youth vote from the last off-year election. And we had a ballot initiative that passed that made it illegal to gerrymander or to do voter suppression. That brought out a large African-American community at the voting booth. So that caused Michigan to go back into the blue category. All four top offices in the state capitol, governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and secretary of state, are all Democrats now. And we removed 2 Republicans in suburban Detroit, white suburban Detroit, and replaced them with 2 Democratic women. So that's what we have to do this time. In the swing states, you must have ballot proposals to bring out the base, raise the minimum wage, pass the Equal Rights Amendment for women, the ones we did in Michigan. There's so many free college. All those things are going to bring out the base if you have them as ballot proposals. And number 3, we have to have a candidate who is beloved by the American people and who is outside the political inner circle, somebody who's not a politician, somebody who's going to win. I think, in my humble opinion, 4 of these candidates running could beat Trump: Bernie, Biden, Kamala Harris, and Elizabeth Warren. They could beat him. But Hillary beat him. It's not enough just to beat Trump. The only way to remove Trump is to crush Trump. And that's the question that has to be asked. Who can crush Trump? Who's the street fighter? We saw it in Bernie last night. Who's the street fighter that can crush Trump? And frankly, I think there's a person that could do this. If the election were held today, there is one person that would crush Trump, and she hasn't announced yet. And her last name rhymes with Obama. In fact, it is Obama. Michelle Obama. Everybody watching this right now knows she is a beloved American, and she would go in there and she would beat him. She would beat him in the debates. He wouldn't be able to bully her. He wouldn't be able to nickname her. And she is beloved. Just go to C-SPAN and follow her book tour across the country. She's playing 15,000-seat arenas in the Midwest. They have to turn people away. She takes the stage, and she's so powerful and so good. You just look at that, and you think, of course, she could win. But everyone's now saying, well, of course, she's not going to run. Well, has anyone asked her? I think if she were asked, look, we're sorry about this. We have to come back to you. You have to go back to the White House. Your country needs you. If asked to serve, I believe she would serve. If you were asked to serve, or I were, whatever our skill set is, wouldn't we do that? I think she would do that. I think she would win. She would crush him. It has to be a crush, though, not just beat him. We are going to lose this if we run the same way that we ran last time. And God bless Hillary. She beat him by 3 million votes. The Democrat next year is going to beat him by 5 million popular votes and could still lose the Electoral College. We have to make sure that doesn't happen.
Michael Moore from Traverse City, Michigan, a guy who went on Bill Maher's show, notably, famously, rather shaken, and said he thought the election might be going the other way. And so as a result, when Michael Moore speaks about such things, more people than usual listen. Michael, thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing my voice, and thank you.
All right, Karine.